Yeah, so this is kind of a transition week for us. It's week 4. Early in the week, we did some we call it generic practice, where we're just working against ourselves, and then we start to work into some game week prep. You got a lot of new faces. Part of this is just training them to the ways that we do things. Whether it's meeting during a game week or how we practice during a game week. You get these high school players in; they've really never been on the scout team. Teach them, how we run our scout teams, how they read a card, the intensity, the effort, the speed, the pace that we want. So still just a lot of educational stuff, and we get a jump on our first game in terms of some of the game plan stuff. So this is always an interesting week. Today is the first practice of the week. The intensity not the first practice of the day, but the first practice working on your next opponent. The intensity goes down a little bit because there's a lot of learning, and tomorrow it'll be better. Now, it wasn't bad at all. They worked, but it was a transitional day for us. So we'll go tomorrow. We'll go Thursday, Friday. We'll have a mock game. They'll get a couple days off that they need to rest and recover, and then we'll come back in and get going in earnest for the first game on the 30th.
Can the players kind of sense the light at the end of the tunnel, getting ready to play someone else besides themselves?
I hope not. I mean, that's not what I want them to be doing. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. We don't even look at the season that way. I mean, you got to just put your head down and grind every day. So we actually talk opposite of that. We tell them there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep digging.
Who's impressed you in the receiver room? I know obviously Skyler coming back was big, but the guys around him.
Ty Bowman. Ty Bowman's a really good football player. He's fought through some injuries. He's fought through some discomfort. He's shown up big. Romello, before he got hurt, and he'll be okay. He'll be back. Romello was doing some really good things. He's physical. He's a really, really good blocker. He's a great slot receiver. Shamar's done some really good things. He's got that speed to break away. Terrence Smith has done some good things. Chris Parker's done some good things. John Nider's been a little dinged up, but you notice when he's out here because he just doesn't drop the ball. He catches everything. Micaiah Johnson, the freshman, has the last couple of weeks we've really kind of pushed him. He's got speed. He can run. So now it's just a matter of comprehending what it takes to play at this level and understanding our system. But I like that room.
What is it that Shamar needs to work on in particular
I think just consistency of catching the ball and being able to lower his center of gravity and get in and out of breaks, because he's a 6'3", 218-pound guy that can run. And sometimes when you're that size, it's not easy to just lower your center of gravity and slow your momentum and redirect and gain momentum and accelerate. So those are the two things he needs to work on. But he's a hard worker. He's a great kid. He loves to work. He loves to practice. I think he had a little bit of a breakthrough today, quite frankly. He's had a couple days where I think he's kind of maybe, he called it just kind of in his head a little bit too much. And we talked about it during practice, and I saw him really elevate his game in the second half of practice.
Jim, you mentioned Nider and some of the in-state guys that you've gotten, Nider, Harper, Teddy Williams.
I should have mentioned Jackson,
yeah.
Sorry.
But those guys have really found a niche on special teams these past couple of years. Maybe now is there more of an opportunity on offense. But what have you seen from those guys since they've been here in terms of their determination to contribute?
Well, a ton of determination to contribute, a ton of grit. They're loyal. It's very important to them to play in their home state for this university, and you see it in the way they prepare every day. You talk about Teddy and Jackson, and they're just very dependable. And I think Jackson's going to go from being a special teams guy to, I should have mentioned him when I talked about the receivers, to a guy that's going to contribute in games for us. They become very, very trustworthy to us. And, you can add in, what Cam's become and what Victor's become and some other guys. And so it's fun to watch those guys, have some success or be on the precipice of success in their home state. It's got to feel good.
And they do the dirty work. Nider was the leading tackler.
He was our special teams player of the year last year.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he was a high school quarterback who. And I used him as an example this morning to the scout team players that haven't done this before. I said, John Nider came here a couple of years ago. He was a high school quarterback. I said, but the scout team defense or the first and second team defensive players going against him in practice every day just kept saying, my God, this guy, he just catches everything because we moved him to receiver. He found his way to the field. Then he found his way to a scholarship. So it just says a lot about him. It's a great example of what, these young guys have to try to aspire to.
Feels like there's more clarity at quarterback than there has been the last couple of years at this point in camp. Is that true? Fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, there's clarity. Yeah, but we like all our guys. I mean, I think that all 4 of those guys add something. It's nice to have depth. Knock on wood. We've gone 3 years where we haven't been able to get out of a season without having a quarterback injury. So I think we're more set up if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen though.
How about your line play boys up front, both sides of the football?
Well, a lot of new guys, but they've done well. Ben Morawski's played a lot of football. He's just been injured. He's been able to stay healthy this camp. Wes Ho's played a lot of football here and elsewhere. So when you have that guy in the middle that a lot of the communication flows through, you can have that cohesiveness you need in the offensive line. I like the way Karsten has played. Karsten's got a lot of snaps here as well. I think bringing in Ty Chan from Notre Dame, he's fitting at the right guard spot and he's done really well. Kyle Juergens played a lot last year. He's playing at left guard, and then I think we've got a lot of depth. It's not necessarily proven, but what we've seen out here, it's encouraging.
You mentioned some guys have been dinged up, just usual camp stuff. Is the expectation that everyone's available for CCSU, or do we not know
that's
that yet?
the hope. Yeah, I don't know that's the hope. I mean, we're trending towards most everybody being available right now. It's just it's important that we still get great practice in, we maintain a level of physicality, but we work hard to stay healthy. And one of the ways you do that is you stay on your feet and you're still physical. Guys get on the ground, they get hurt. So I think our team's learned how to practice hard, tough, physical, fast, and still kind of take care of each other. That's what I feel, at least.
Are you happy with the progress of camp, the goals you've set?
Am I happy? I mean, I'm pleased, not satisfied. I love the way they're working, and I think that they're intent on getting, to a certain point where, we can go out on Saturdays and compete with anybody. I feel that team, it's important to this team to do that.
Are you able to tell about your defense yet? Or do you have to get in a real game to understand that they've learned the cohesion necessary for playing that?
I think it's going to take a game. I really do. I'd like to be able to sit here and say, yeah, I know what they're all about, but there's so many new guys that I don't. And games always reveal things, both positive and negative things you have to work on. So, yeah, I would say, Mike, that we need to play a game, where it's the intensity and you're seeing unscattered looks that you have to adjust to, and the communication's so important, and you're tackling guys that have different colored jerseys and helmets on than you do, which is, you're not in the locker room next to you, in the weight room or in the meal room every day. So there's just a different level of intensity, and so let's see how we react.
Behind Louis and Alex at tight end, who else should we know about? What's the scouting report on the depth behind those two guys?
Well, tight end, and we play with really two different tight end type bodies. So you got Alex and Notter are tight ends. Yeah. And then like our Fs, kind of move guys. You've got Lou, you've got Juice, you've got a guy like Michael Burton, Xavier Watson, and then you've got the tweeners like Dom Toy. You can kind of do both. We have a really heavy and deep tight end room, and we're going to utilize all those guys. They all bring something a little bit different to the game, and being creative in the way we use them is really important because it creates problems for the defense. I think tight ends are matchup problems, so we have a lot of good ones.
Are you able to see the influence of your new QB coach yet, Bryce Tracy? And what is it?
Yeah, I mean, he's been some really good places with some really good people. He's been at Notre Dame, he's been at Alabama, he's been at Georgia, he's been around winning programs, and he is a really intense guy that this is very important to, and he's very detailed, he's very demanding, he knows what he's talking about, he brings good conceptual ideas to our scheme. He holds the players to a high level of accountability, and yet I think they really like it, because they know they can trust him. But no, I'm really happy that he's a part of this staff.
One more for Coach, and I'll get players.
Last year, you obviously had a ton of experience and a lot of depth on the D line. You're able to rotate guys in and things like that. Do you see enough this year that maybe that could happen again? That these guys could hold up to that standard?
I hope so. It's kind of like, to same answer as Mike's question. It's like, we'll see. You know, we'll see as we go. But you know, you'd expect guys like Matt Hoffman. I think you guys talked to him, or Brian Kelly, or Cleto Chol. You know, it's like time for those guys to take that step from kind of some late game action into some real action. And if they can do that, then I think we've got a nice group there. You know, because I think we've got some good starters and some guys that are proven, but some of those unproven guys on game day have to take a step up. And the indications are, from what we've seen in practices, they're ready to do that. But they got to go do it on the field against an opponent that's not wearing the same helmet as them.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, hey, thanks
Thank you, Coach.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Excuse me.